So the first game in the series between the Springboks and England is over, and it was a pretty incredible one. Definitely swings in momentum and a big scoreline. So 42 points to 39, 10 tries. I don't know about you, but when I think England v Springboks, I don't think 10 tries, 9 of which were scored by backs. So yeah, tries to de Klerk, Tuden, Nkosi, LaRue and Dianti for England, Brown, Daly, Farrell, Itoje and May. 42 points to 39. It was a pretty incredible start to this one. I mean, again, it was another beautiful day, good crowd. Did seem to be a few empty seats and patches, but yeah, really nice looking kind of atmosphere there at Ellis Park. Daly starts us off like within the first minute with a 60-meter penalty. I guess altitude helps, and the guy's got a big old boot. Yeah, just kind of set the platform for what was going to be a good game. Not long after Brown got his try, Pollard kicked a penalty in return, and it seemed to be kind of settling down after some early kind of forays into Springbok territory. But then there was just more tries to England. After 17 minutes, it was 24 points to 3. It's not very common that you see a tier 1 nation having more than a point a minute scored against them. It was crazy stuff. But from about 20 minutes, South Africa managed to settle it down. They managed to get some ball. They didn't do anything with it initially, but it just kind of settled the game down. They got their heads in the game, and then they started to build some pressure, and then de Klerk went over for a try. Second try was pretty fortuitous for Nkosi. I mean, he kicked the ball through. He did well to follow it up. Daly just had to either force it or kick it out or get anything on it, but the bounce was a bit cruel, and he just missed it, so Nkosi got his try. And then the floodgates kind of opened the other direction. So despite having been down 24-3, at half-time, it was 29-27 to the Springboks, which is just a crazy half of rugby. I mean, 56 points. It was, just not expected, but I mean, it brought the crowd into it. They had the kiss cam going at half-time, and everyone was into it, both sides. Both set of fans thought they were into it. They'd just seen a really entertaining half of rugby. In terms of the possession, South Africa had the better of the first half with, I think, around 60% possession and territory. South Africa were beating more defenders, but England were making just more pure, clean breaks in that first kind of 20-minute period. They were just, when they would get a break, it was just cutting like hot knife through butter. So it deceptively made South Africa's tackle stats not actually that bad, because the English breaks were that clean that nobody was having to tackle. So they were still making the tackles, but when they were getting the breaks, there was just nobody there. So yeah, when I looked at those tackle stats, I was a bit confused as to how that could be the case, but I'm assuming that's just what it is. Second half kind of settled down a bit. It felt a bit more like kind of a proper test match with, penalty attempts and a bit more kicking for territory. Eventually, Marco Vunipola was yellow carded, which was, on the scale of like soft to harsh, it was a pretty soft to harsh. Anyway, it was a softish one. Like, it wouldn't have been a yellow card every day of the week. But he didn't kind of pull out of, because he was charging down Faf de Klerk, and he just ended up kind of turning his shoulder into him. There wasn't really any force behind it, but when you're Marco Vunipola's size up against a little number 9, it doesn't take a lot. So yeah, it was softish. But it's hard to have too many excuses, I suppose, because if you don't want to get yourself in that position, just try to make every effort to get out of it, I suppose. But yeah, it didn't end up being too costly, because both sides scored tries during that yellow card period. And if anything, by the end of that yellow card period, England seemed to be kind of in the ascendancy. So perhaps that kind of fired them up. I don't know. But yeah, they weren't quite able to get in it. At least it was kind of a nail-biting finish, with May running in a beautiful line for his try, bringing it within 3 towards the end. But yeah, not enough for England, not able to get it done. For the Boks, I mean, Nkosi and Dianti, although they were criticised for the opening kind of stanza where England scored quite a few points, they both scored tries and both had pretty impressive games otherwise. Sneyman, particularly, I think, had a good game. He got a line-out steal right at the end to kind of help put the game away for the Boks. Like I said, for Johnny May, what a good line he ran. Brad Shields ended up being called upon to the second row, so not ideal for him. I think he would have probably preferred to be on in the back row, but yeah, so not a huge chance for him to make as much of an impression, especially because they didn't have the ball for some of the time when he was on. Really, for this game, Curry, I should mention as well, had a great game. Just in terms of his tackle rate, he was all over the place. So it's kind of stuff you don't always see, but he was everywhere. The penalty count was probably the big killer for the English. It ended up being 12-5. With England on the wrong side of that. So it's going to be hard to win if you're getting penalised almost 3 times as much as the opposition. But yeah, what a game. I mean, in terms of the 3 games that we had, obviously this was played before Wales and Argentina. I mean, this is the pick of the bunch. Surely it was one lead change, but it was a heck of a lead change. And it was kind of anybody's game right up until the 80th minute. So, yeah, really cracking stuff. It makes for an interesting second game. We'll see how the squads go in terms of changes. But yeah, what did you guys think of the game? What did you think of Handré Pollard keep wanting to change one of the balls from a kickoff and from was it a kick for touch or a penalty? He kept wanting to change the ball because he thought it was either underinflated or just not quite right, but he still seemed to kick fine with it. Quirky stuff. But yeah, who did you think played well, played poorly? Who would you change for the next game? And where do both coaches go from here? All right, I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.